No! God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
It's good. Welcome to the Pivot Start Sit Show, where we get to talk about season-long fantasy football. And this week, we are in the fantasy playoffs. The fantasy playoffs. And just to fill you guys in on the league that me and Josiah are in, which here's Josiah. You all know him. Me and Josiah both made it. I am in the 5th seed with my dusty team, and Josiah got the bye on the other side of it.
With the 2 seed.
With the 2 seed. I am, you can see it here, I'm your Huckleberry, one of the greatest fantasy football names you've ever heard. And Josiah is Double Stuffed Oreos, one of the lamest fantasy football names you've ever heard.
The greatest one, I think, is what you meant to say.
No, this is not what I meant to say. But we're excited about the fantasy playoffs. It's been 3 years since I've made it to the fantasy playoffs, so I'm feeling good. I'm just happy to be here, really, honestly. But we're going to talk all things fantasy, playoffs related, and dynasty related. We got some waiver wire pickups for you guys, and
we got some
our
good stuff this week.
Top 5 dynasty wide receiver picks as well. Right now, Josiah, before we dig into the waiver wire and the top 5 dynasty wide receivers, how are you feeling about your win potential in this league?
I feel really good this week. I think I'm going to make it to the next week.
Yeah. Let me check and see who you're playing. You're playing something called a bye.
It would be very unlucky if I didn't make it.
I'd be amazed if this guy named Bye.
But I feel pretty good. I think my team's in a good spot. I'm glad to have the bye.
Yep.
But I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good going forward. Just 2 more wins, and then I get to cash in.
That's right. And 2 more wins until you have to play me, and I have to, destroy your hopes and dreams.
I hope I get to play you. That'll be the most exciting win of the year.
Ashton Davis, a.k.a. Matt, I did make the playoffs. And then we got Matt Mayu, one of our greatest Pivot fans, started the chat off with, "Hey, fellas, missed you." You can read that probably better than me, just so I can't see it from here.
Hey, fellas, missed you. Sorry for the week early Montgomery call. I'll keep quiet from now on. No, it's all right, Matt. We'll just remember to do it next week when you give us a good recommendation. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep. But I'm feeling pretty good. I am playing a guy who's also dealing with a lot of COVID injuries. My wide receivers are not the most exciting bunch right now because
you got Odell Beckham. He got put on the COVID list today, so you might be missing him.
But all he has to do is get 2 negatives before the week starts, and then I got him. And then I got James Conner against Detroit. Tom Brady is my quarterback. I'm feeling pretty good.
James Conner also dealing with an injury.
Yeah,
I heard
that-
he's
yep.
dealing with some ankle stuff. I mean,
It's probably nothing.
we have no idea if he'll be fine or not, but there's at least a chance.
It's probably most likely nothing at all.
Also, Chase Edmonds could come back.
Doesn't matter. Chase Edmonds has lost his job, so.
Mike Glennon. I bet you feel real good about having Mike Glennon in your lineup.
It's a quarterback, and he got 26 points last week, so I don't feel terrible. Or 24 points last week, so could be worse.
Career best game.
It is his career best game as far as this season is concerned. I don't know about his previous seasons. He's only 0.9% owned, so
There's a reason.
only me and a couple other people hold this gem. So, feeling pretty good regardless of the fact that Mike Glennon's on my team. All right. So, first thing we're going to do, that's the league we're in where both of us have the potential to win $1,000 at the end of the season.
Yep.
And it's probably going to be me. Okay.
Wow.
So, Josiah, before we dive into waiver wires, let's talk about this guy and let's see how excited you are about him. Javonte Williams. What do you feel about him?
We're just talking about his talent.
We're talking about his talent.
Very
and-
excited. Very
and-
excited about
yeah.
his talent. He's maybe like the second or third most fun player to watch in the NFL this year, behind like Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp.
Right.
Outside of that, I mean, he's just one of the funnest guys to watch, man. He's super good. Every time he touches the ball, good things happen. I was real excited about him going into this week, and then Denver pulled the Melvin Gordon stuff and gave Melvin Gordon like 20-some carries.
I know. I don't
and 2
understand why they
touchdowns.
did that.
I don't know. All I can think is hopefully their thought process is just, we want to keep him healthy for next year so that we can use the crap out of him next year.
I guess so. Melvin Gordon had 24 attempts, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javonte Williams had 15 attempts. I know that. 73 yards and a touchdown. Just imagine if all of that work would have gone to Javonte Williams. It would have just been like the most glorious fantasy football days for a running back
It
ever.
might have even been a little bit more. I mean, Javonte Williams is more efficient than Melvin Gordon.
Oh, he is. It's like 10 yards every time.
It's ridiculous.
I'm feeling like you feel like I can't remember. I think Melvin Gordon. Is he going to be a free agent next year?
He will be a free agent. Yeah.
So
Denver could re-sign him. I don't think they will.
Probably not. They've got Javonte Williams. So I mean, Javonte Williams for sure is probably going to be like the every down back for
a few weeks
Denver.
ago, we all said that we think Javonte Williams could be a top 5 dynasty running back. I feel really good about that at this point.
Yeah, he's super efficient. One of the most fun guys to watch in the running back position. I feel if you have him in a dynasty league, or if you're like our league where you can draft people for a certain amount of dollars, and if you get lucky and get him for cheap, you get to keep him for that price for next year.
Yeah, he's going to be good next year. And this year, like if Melvin Gordon misses another game for any reason whatsoever, Javonte Williams is top 3 running back.
Yeah. I don't know why Denver has to make us all sad and give Melvin Gordon more carries than him.
We've seen enough of him.
Yes. Yes. Ashton says, you know anyone who scored 209 points in DFS this week? Yes, us. The Pivot did. We did that. In fact, we crushed every single person that was playing against us this week.
I bet that lineup made a whole bunch of money in the
Turns out, if you would have watched the Pivot last Thursday and built a lineup with us, and you just entered in the lineup that we built, you would have gotten 25th overall in the Millionaire Maker. That is turning $20 into $1,500.
That's a pretty good return.
I was able to check and see that no one else did, so sucks for you guys, but that's why you should watch the Pivot. Including us. I blew it. I messed up 2 spots in that lineup, so it didn't get quite as high as I had hoped. But that's why you should watch the Pivot and build lineups with this, because turns out we're pretty good at it. Matt said that a month ago, and he's sexy. Is that what that says?
I mean, that's a given, but yeah.
All right, so that's our feelings about Matt and Javonte Williams. All right, let's dive into the waiver wire.
Yeah,
so, who do you like? Who's the first person you like off the waiver wire this week?
I think the most interesting guy to me is Rashad Penny. I mean, he busted off a pretty big game last week. No one really saw it coming. But he's a guy that is essentially really talented. He was a first-round pick several years ago and never really lived up to his pick.
Nope.
But he's just dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. But he looked good last week. So, I mean, if he's healthy this week, he could do it again.
He's only 8.9% owned across fantasy leagues. He had 16 rushing attempts, 137 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That
He
is
looked
26
good.
fantasy
He looked
points.
Good. He had some really good runs last week.
Yeah, and there's not really another option behind him other than Alex Collins, who we all know
Who
is
was
just
banged up also.
Who is banged up and also just generally a big disappointment.
Yeah.
So, no, I'd definitely say that Rashad Penny is probably the number 1 waiver wire pickup
Yeah, I
this
think
week.
so for sure.
Especially for the fantasy playoffs.
When you get to this point in the league, there's no more buys. So, I mean, you might not be desperate for a waiver wire option, but if you do need someone to start because someone's on COVID, that could cause some problems for some
Right.
people. He could be a guy that you could flex this week.
He doesn't have the best matchup. He's playing the Rams this week. But not a terrible matchup, right? It's generally
I think that game is probably going to be a lot of points.
a lot of points.
Yeah.
But Seahawks probably going to be playing from behind is what I would guess.
Yeah, but it's not like they have a different pass-catching running back. He could be that guy too.
Yeah. Let's see. Did he have any? He had 1 target for 1 yard and 1 reception.
Yeah.
So he can catch a ball.
It is
If
possible.
we will, we haven't really seen it yet, so we
Yeah.
don't really know. Rashad Penny, I really like him.
Yeah, I think he's a top 24 guy this week.
Yeah, I feel like he has the potential to actually turn this into a long job if he can keep this up, because there's literally no one else behind
He's
him.
really probably playing for a lot at this point. If he has a strong final 4 weeks of the year, he could get another contract after this year. If not, his career could be over
Yeah,
because he's been in the league for 4 years. And
he's always injured, isn't he?
He's been a real disappointment up to this point.
Yeah. Anyways, for this week for the fantasy playoffs, if you're hurting at running backs, Rashad Penny's probably your best
Yeah.
option. Like I said, he's only 8.9% owned, so most likely he's available in your league.
Yep.
Next guy, who I am starting to like. He's gotten 12 targets 2 weeks consecutively, and his name is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
I can't really say his name right, but
I think that's right.
he's only 10% owned, almost 11% owned across ESPN Fantasy League. He's gotten 2 weeks in a row of 12 targets. So Hawkinson was out this week, so that might have benefited him a little bit
But
this
he
week.
wasn't out last week.
He wasn't out last week. He still got 12 targets and a touchdown and between 86 and 73 yards both weeks.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's obviously very involved and not highly owned across ESPN leagues. So if you're like me and your top wide receivers are either suspended, have COVID, or just injured themselves, then you probably need this guy.
Yeah, I think you have to be in probably a pretty deep league to want to add him just because I don't think he has a very high ceiling. I mean,
he's got 12 targets 2
12
weeks in a row.
but he's never turned that into very many yards. He's not a downfield guy. And we know Jared Goff can't throw the ball downfield, so that's probably why.
No.
But he's not got a ton of ceiling, but he's pretty safe because it looks like he's going to get at least 10 targets.
He's going to at least get 10 targets. They're also playing Arizona next week, so most likely they're going to
gonna
be
throw.
playing from behind the whole time.
And he's going to get
And he's going to get his targets.
his targets.
I would feel relatively confident putting him in my third wide receiver slot this week.
I would say it's almost expected that he has at least 6 catches for
Yeah,
50 yards.
I would expect him to get 10 targets again this next
but
week.
it might only turn into 6 catches.
It
It is Jared Goff still.
Yeah, it's Jared Goff. Anything can happen.
But that's a pretty good floor. You could do worse in terms of floor players.
I'd say 10 points is you can confidently say you'll probably get 10 points from him.
9-10 points. I think that's around his floor. But his ceiling maybe 15 if he gets a touchdown.
Yeah, maybe 15, but also I like his matchups for the rest of the season. He's got Atlanta in Week 16, so if you survive this week in the fantasy playoffs, you got Atlanta and then Seahawks for the fantasy Super Bowl. So, I mean, not only is he, a guy who's not very owned, who gets a lot of volume, but he also has some pretty nice matchups to end the season on. So, I mean, I like him. I like him a lot.
You can do worse. You can do worse.
We've had 2 weeks to wait and see what he can do, and he's done average and gotten lots of opportunity to do better. But
he's probably going to keep doing average, but you
Probably.
can definitely do worse than average.
you can, yeah, he's definitely my favorite option at wide receiver this week on waiver wires as far as our league is concerned. I like him a lot. Jared Goff sucks, but he's getting lots of volume. I'd pick him up if you're hurting at wide receiver. Next guy is a guy that I've heard Matt say his name several times, and his name is Gabriel Davis for Buffalo.
Yeah, I like Gabriel Davis. I think I like Gabriel Davis at least as much as St. Brown.
You think you like him just as much as St. Brown?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he plays on a way better team.
Yeah.
Sanders is hurt, and with Sanders hurt, Davis is the number 2 receiver.
Yep.
I mean, I guess Beasley's there, but Beasley's role isn't going to change. He's just going to run
He's just a slot guy, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, Davis is going to play a lot of snaps. He got 8 targets last week when Sanders only played half the game. So, if Sanders is out next week, we probably expect another 8 targets for Davis.
Yeah.
And 8 targets for Josh Allen is worth, like, a heck of a lot more than 8 targets from
or 12
Jared
targets
Goff.
from Jared
Yeah.
Goff. Yeah, I can see that. He's definitely a downplay guy. He gets a lot of air yards whenever he catches the ball.
Yep.
I think this past week he caught like a 52-yard touch, or no, it wasn't 52 because he only got 43 overall.
Yep.
But I felt like he got a long touchdown. Maybe he didn't. Maybe
And
it was
Gabriel
the previous
Davis is a
week.
pretty talented guy. I think there's potential he could break out into a good player for the team to end the year.
Maybe. He feels a lot like Mike White to me, to where it's always going to be up and down for the rest of his career.
I mean,
Williams? Mike Williams, yeah, not Mike White. Mike Williams.
well, shoot, if you can get Mike Williams off the waiver wire right now, I would do it.
Right, but yeah, I wouldn't feel very good about it because you're either going to get 25 points or 3.
Yeah.
So he's only 2.5% owned across ESPN leagues.
That's even a lot lower than St. Brown.
Yeah, that's a 6-point difference. He's gotten consecutively 10 points at least in fantasy football with 4 targets against New England and 8 targets against Tampa Bay. And going in versus Carolina, most likely they're out. They don't have Emmanuel Sanders, so you would assume that he'd get more action coming in.
He'll get at least a little bit more. I think he has better ceiling than St. Brown.
Better ceiling than St. Brown?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe he does. I don't know if I agree with that. But let's see here. Matt said that Penny versus Waddle.
Waddle, easy.
Yeah, Waddle for me as well.
Yeah.
Waddle, his volume is too ridiculous to. He's like a start it and forget it for me.
Waddle's one of the safest players in the league this year.
Right.
And he got upside.
He gets more targets than Cooper Kupp a lot. He doesn't.
Sometimes.
No, he does. He just doesn't do as much with it because he's not Cooper Kupp.
No, if we looked at how many targets they have on the year, Cooper Kupp's got more targets.
Right, but I'm talking about at this point in the league. There's been several weeks where he had more.
There's been a few weeks where he's had just as much or more than Kupp.
Yeah. So I like Waddle a lot. I would start Waddle.
Yeah, I like Waddle a lot too.
Like immediately.
I think Penny's pretty good, but Waddle's like ultra safe and super high upside.
Super high upside. You'll constantly get to see him either catch or miss a ball throughout the
he'll get
whole
10
game
targets at least.
because the volume is ridiculous.
And Miami plays the Jets, right?
Let me see.
Pretty sure Miami plays the Jets, which means Waddle's probably going to get at least 15 points.
He plays